Welcome to Abundant Life. Today on the homestead we're going to spend a little time cleaning up the campsite. Okay. Alright, I'm back. Took a nice little break for a while. My wife was out here. She'd argue that I didn't rest long enough, but she ain't out here. I ain't telling her. I went around and picked up some of the trash found floating around. Lots of little bits and plastic, stuff from the road, stuff that gets blown across the fields. And got out my grass trimmer and started working on some of the grass around. Right now I was doing around the beehives. Part of my project this week is to get those out of here. Not real sure where I'm going to put them because got a few more hives in the shipping container, but I'm out of space on the shelves in there. I really like having bees. I don't have any right now, but I love the honeybees, and they seem to get along well with me. And I've tried to raise several hives over the years, but they'll do real good, get well established. Queen will be laying eggs. We'll have all stages of life in there. They grow bigger. I make the hives bigger for them, and then come along the end of summertime and food starts getting scarce. Every time I'll come back here one day and there'll just be swarms of yellow jackets or bald-faced hornets, and those little honeybees just can't compete, and they get annihilated every time. Had a swarm come through here a couple weeks ago. I thought real hard about trapping them and setting one of these hives up again, but and I figured I've got a lot going on right now, so I'll let them pass. There'll be more next year. Most of the hives that I've had, 5 of the 6 have come from wild swarms, and 4 of the 5 are swarms that stopped on my property, either in the fence rows or in a tree, and I'd trap them and give them a hive, and they'd stick around and do real good. But like I said, so far it's never lasted. So I'm going to get those out of here, out of the campsite area, give it a little more space for the kids to run around. Now when I do have bees, they don't seem to bother us when we're back here. They don't mind us too much when sitting around the fire. As long as we don't go beating on them, they don't go beating on us. And even that's not too terrible, at least for me. My wife and one of my boys is highly allergic to bees. Got to keep EpiPens around, but I'm going to sip a little coffee here and then go over to where I was scooping up firewood earlier, trim that grass down, and see where we go from there. Got a lot of branches down in here. That'd be a good job for the boys later, I think. I was really hoping for the battery to die so I'd have an excuse to stop, but guess I lost that battle. Bought this Black & Decker string trimmer for Grandma a couple of years ago. She'd already had one and worn it out. It took her about, maybe 5 years to wear it out. So I went and bought another one for her, but quickly learned the things I have to admit, that battery operated string trimmer weighs less than half the amount of my old gas trimmer, and I can stand there and use it about 3 times as long before my back quits. So it's mine and Grandma's, and I just make sure to keep batteries charged up for her. I think she's going to use it here later in the yard. Yeah, I think I'm done for a minute. Brick time again. Well, I'm back for a minute. Just about done for the day. I got to run to town, do Grandma's weekly grocery shopping and whatnot. Didn't plan on spending too much time out here today. I'd already decided that tomorrow was going to be a big day out here, but when the wife told me that we for sure had guests coming over this weekend, I figured I'd take today and get a little extra time out here. But I'm running out of time and running out of energy, so figured I'd sit here for a minute. You might have noticed when I did the swing around the whole woods that got these little white posts here. Each of these 3 posts marks an oak sapling. One of the products, the terrible things of having Japanese honeysuckle everywhere, is that some of your trees are a little harder to grow. You don't get saplings. And when I first came out here, we've got about 12 old growth oak trees, both red oak and white oak. You can see one of them, big V back here behind me, if my big head's not in the way. And I'd crawl around under all this scrub and honeysuckle, and year after year, never found so much as an acorn, let alone any oak saplings. And that went on for a long time. And then the first year after I started clearing honeysuckle around this oak tree in particular, the very next year it put out thousands and thousands of acorns. And the problem is that honeysuckle has got a shallow and very wide root system, and it immediately sucks up all the water it wants, all the nutrients it can get, and really robs from the trees you have around. And one day we'll go into the woods and I can show you several places where there's a honeysuckle growing up at the base of a small tree, and the small tree is struggling to survive, putting out tiny leaves even. And we're going to get that taken care of. And like I said, I do a little bit every year, push in, claim a little more, and then just try to hold on to what I've claimed. But right now I'm going to clean up around these oak saplings. Probably can't see them too well on the camera, but I've got this one. It's 3 years old. It sprouted up 3 years ago. The third post over there, that one's 2 years old. And then this little guy behind me just came up last year. The 3-year-old's about ready to move. I'm going to put it right between those 2 big dead ash trees where I was working earlier. Then we get those stumps out of here, and this guy, which I think is a swamp oak, it'll grow up right beside a nice healthy black oak we got growing here. I put that there before I even moved in. I transplanted that from another spot about 25 years ago, 20 maybe. I don't think she's 25. But it's nice and healthy here in the clearing, and I'm going to put this little one over there, and we'll have a couple more by the time it's all said and done. So yeah, I'm just going to clear the weeds around my little oak trees, and then I'm going to be out and head to town. Another great thing about getting those oak trees to start producing acorns now, and out of the 12 I've got 1, 2, if you count that V as just one, there's 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 of my oak trees that I've kind of focused on with the honeysuckle, and 5 of those 12 I've got producing acorns again. And within the last few years, that has attracted the deer in here. I used to hunt deer. I love hunting deer. My boys grew up on venison. I haven't hunted in years, and I know they can be a nuisance, but I kind of like having the deer around. Last year, I left most of my back pasture grow. Never even mowed it, because I went out there in early spring, and there was a doe and 2 fawns, and I just left it for them. Knew I wasn't going to do anything with it, so they had the woods and the back pasture. And this year, just a few weeks ago, the big mama was back. I've not seen any fawns with her this year, and we're getting kind of late in the year, so she might have had them and lost them, but she's out here about every day. I'll come back here, and she'll just right back just where it gets to the edge of the thick stuff. She'll stand there and just look at me for a while. Or me and the wife were just outside the house talking the other day, and I pointed across the field, and she's just standing there in the field staring at us like she maybe want to join our conversation, but too scared to, just a silly little thought about that. But I enjoy having the deer here, and getting rid of that honeysuckle and helping stimulate acorn production has really brought them out. So that's another nice thing about it. I get these cleared up a little bit. Once in a while I bring these guys some extra water. Just try to keep all that Virginia creeper from getting up around them, and lots of wild violets grow around them, which wouldn't hurt nothing, but give the trees every opportunity they can for now. I think once I get it cleared out, I'll see if it's worth it to bring the camera over for some mug shots of these trees. Now this is a wild blackberry. These things grow all over our property, and they don't produce well, and wild blackberries are known not to produce well, so we don't do much with them, but it's good for the wildlife, the birds. Get a lot of birds out here, a lot of butterflies. Butterflies really come out when our boxwood blooms. That, I haven't even paid attention. I don't even know if the boxwood's bloomed yet. If it hasn't, when it does, I'll be sure to take you out there, because a couple years ago we went out there with a camera, and we've not so many different species of bees. There was a lot of honeybees that came to it, but we found 9 different species of hoverflies on it. That was pretty cool, just because I never even imagined there was that many different variety of the hoverflies around here. But And that boxwood blooms, they come in from somewhere. And they all like these wild blackberries. So if they're not in a spot that they're creating a nuisance, I let those live too. So there's number 2, my little guy that just sprouted last year. As far as speed of growth, this guy's growing faster than the other 2 ever did. I don't know if that's just because we had better weather years or what, but he'll be ready to go. I don't think I'll transplant him next year. I might. But that one's definitely ready to go. He's going to go here probably getting a little into summer now. I'll probably do it in the fall. 2 times are good for transplanting trees is spring and fall. Don't really want to do it in the middle of summer. I mean, you can have success with it, but they don't survive very well. As hard as it is to get oak trees to grow and as slow as they grow, don't like taking those chances with them. Now I find a little cedar tree growing out here and decide to move it up to the front of the property. Yeah, I'll do that in the middle of summer. She'll survive. Maple's pretty hardy. You can see behind me there's a lot of little. Despite the mess that was back here with those shrubs, a lot of maple trees managed to survive and poke up through them, but that's about all. Every small tree you see here is a maple tree. Nothing else makes it through that scrub, makes it through that Japanese honeysuckle. I need to make a nickname for that because I'm getting tired of saying the whole thing, Japanese honeysuckle. Guess I just call it honeysuckle. But you go into any place where there's farmers, lawn keepers, pretty much any landowner, woodsman, you sit there more than a few minutes and you're going to end up hearing a conversation about that honeysuckle because it's everywhere. I can't do a whole lot about it but rip it up. And I know a lot of areas of the country, y'all got different kinds of invasive plants everywhere. When I was growing up out here, it used to be garlic mustard. It would fill every square inch between every tree out here. Garlic mustard everywhere. And you could go in here and pull out every stalk of it every year. So your hands smelled like garlic all day, and I just keep coming back. But now I hardly ever see much garlic mustard. So I'm going to leave this run, but I'm going to grab the little handle and we're going to get down there for some close-ups of those little trees because it's, at least on my screen, it's hard to discern just where they are and how they look down there. These are the little guys I'm working on here. This is my little 3-year-old oak tree. He's the one that's going to get moved over between those dead ashes. You know, it's probably weird to get excited over oak trees, but I really like having them. And growing them like this, just it's a little something extra, I guess. Here's a little 1-year-old guy. He's really thriving. Said he's growing faster than the other 2 did, and his 1 year growing faster than the other 2 ever did. I think it's a little better weather last couple of years, and we didn't have much of a winter time, so he didn't have to struggle the way the others did. And here's the last one. This is my 2-year-old oak tree. It'll be transplanted before too long here in a couple years. And this is the mother tree. And one of the reasons I really wanted to get these growing is because these old growth oaks are starting to get to the end of the life cycle. a lot of these trees I got back here, the big ones, are starting to die up in the tops. They've probably got a good 20 years left, but eventually they're not going to be here. In my lifetime, they're probably not going to be here. I wonder if she's in there. This one has got a hole right between the two, and if she is in there, I don't see her. If I did, she'd be attacking the camera right now. There's a mama coon that lives in that hole. A lot of times I see her up in the tree. She's pretty scared of me. As soon as I come sit in my chair out here, she'll very sneakily crawl back to her hole. But I don't bother the raccoons until they get up to the buildings. If they start tearing into my buildings, well then we've got an issue. But out here in the woods, I mean, they're natural. This is their place. And probably gonna go spend some time at Muncie Guns, my absolute favorite gun store. And then I may or may not be back tomorrow on video finishing up the workout here, but whether I am or not, if you're watching this, even if you're not, I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you from Abundant Life Homestead.